Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 17th of June. I'm Maeve McMahon, and this is Europe Today, bringing you all the news to start your day. Coming up, the eyes of the world are on Evian-le-Benu, where G7 leaders are gathering for the third and final day of talks. Beyond the photo ops, European leaders have used this precious FaceTime with the US President to urge him to help break the deadlock on Ukraine. We'll have the latest on their joint declaration hot off the press with our Europe editor Maria Tadeo live from Evian. Also in Evian, executives from tech giants Anthropic, OpenAI, Google and Mistral AI are working on a joint pledge to address child safety and the future of AI. This as the US introduced export controls on Anthropic AI models. Your News' Angela Scudens will bring us up to speed from the ground. Meanwhile, on the football pitch, France secured a comfortable start to their FIFA World Cup participation with a 3-1 win over Senegal. Austria also entered the tournament this morning, playing in their first World Cup in almost 3 decades. We'll have reactions from the Austrian MEP and football aficionado Lucas Mandl. And who exactly is Gianni Infantino and why is he hogging the headlines? We'll tell you everything you need to know about the FIFA president. But first, our top story takes us to Evian-le-Benu, where the most powerful leaders in the world are wrapping up 3 days of high-level talks. In a rare moment of convergence, G7 leaders have issued a joint declaration reiterating their support of Ukraine in defending freedom, sovereignty and territorial integrity, while also committing to increase pressure on Russia's war economy. For more, we can go straight to our Europe editor, Maria Tadeo, who's live in Evian with the latest on that joint declaration. Good morning, Maria. Great to have you with us. And now we're used to G6 plus 1, but this time we see the US also jumping on board. Tell us more.
Yes, Maeve, good morning. And that is really the value of that joint statement. It's not a communique, it's a statement, and that declaration coming in together last night after midnight. But it does name check the president of the U.S. and it is endorsed by the G7 leaders. So that is really the value of those talks that we saw there, and the diplomacy at play yesterday in those sessions with the leaders, but also the president of Ukraine now coming together in this document in which, as you say, the G7, and I'm just reading and quoting now from the declaration that we got last night, stand united in an unwavering support for Ukraine in defending its freedom, sovereignty and territorial integrity. And they also say that they will commit to increase pressure on the Russian war machine. And Maeve, ultimately, when we talk about the Russian war machine, we're talking about Russian energy. It's the oil and it's the gas. Yesterday, President Trump hinted that he would be prepared to reinstall some of those sanctions that he waived when the war in Iran and the Strait of Hormuz pushed oil prices up and energy prices up. Now, with the war seemingly coming to an end, with an agreement and a ceremony to sign it in Switzerland on Friday, the U.S. would be prepared to reintroduce some of those sanctions and increase the pressure on Russia. We should note, however, and this is important, they do not say when they would come in, those sanctions. They also do not detail how big they would be, and there is no timeline or horizon in this declaration. We should also note, and this is relevant because ultimately diplomacy is also the art of sitting together. We have not seen a bilateral meeting between President Zelensky and President Trump. They did have a working session yesterday. President Zelensky was around the table, but it was a group session. We have not seen face-to-face time with the two of them sitting down quietly for a long period. So again, there was a lot of speculation that perhaps there could be a bilateral. For the time being, we have not seen one, but President Zelensky, it is still on site, and then he will head over to Brussels for the European summit tomorrow.
But as you said earlier, of course, also in focus, Maria, the Middle East and Iran, where the G7 actually welcomes the efforts of Donald Trump to end the war. Tell us why.
Yeah, indeed, Maeve. That is the other part of this declaration, which we have overnight coming in from the French presidency, in which they name-check President Trump multiple times. Some suggest that is the price you have to pay for consensus, the flattery around the president of the U.S., in which they say they commend his efforts and they call this framework deal to end the war in Iran a breakthrough. And they also say there is now a real opportunity in the Middle East. The G7 G7 also endorses and agrees that the Strait of Hormuz will have to reopen fully without any tolls. So they reiterate that message that there needs to be freedom of navigation in the strait. It also says that there is potentially a place for a mission, a maritime mission, to make sure that the vessels that will have to come through will be able to do so safely. And it matches really the tone from the president of the U.S. who reiterated yesterday that the tolls will not happen, that the Strait of Hormuz will reopen fully by Friday, and that ceremony in Switzerland will go ahead. I should stress, however, there is a document, a leaked document that has been doing the rounds here in Evian now for 24 hours, detailing what is in that agreement. In principle, we have not seen the official version, but this leaked version does show that Iran would commit to not having a nuclear weapon, but there would also be financial incentives for Tehran. At the same time, we were told that the leaders of the EU and the European G7, alongside Canada and Japan, were shown by the U.S. a copy of this memorandum of understanding, which we understand is less than 2 pages, and they suggested that it is the basis perhaps to continue negotiations between the two of them, but the upside value of it is that it will now bring hostilities to an end and could have a major repercussion when it comes to the energy market and see prices down.
OK, Maria Tadeo, our Europe editor, reporting live for us there from Evian-le-Benu. Thank you so much for that broadcast. And staying with the G7, as geopolitics is not the only item on the menu, with AI and tech also slated for talks. For more, we can bring in Euronews' correspondent Angela Scugins, who's also on the ground for us in Evian-le-Benu this week. So, Angela, artificial intelligence very much high on the G7's agenda today. Just remind us why.
Good morning, Maeve. So while the G7 is very much about tackling the biggest geopolitical conflicts of our time, they also will require to look at the biggest technological advancement of the 21st century, and this is artificial intelligence. We expect a swag of top-tier AI executives to descend on Evian. They'll have to go through those police checks, which we can see right behind me, to enter this secure area. They are expected to talk about, they will attend a working lunch titled Ensuring a Safe, Rapid and Effective Deployment of Artificial Intelligence. We're talking about the CEOs from Anthropic, OpenAI, Mistral AI, as well as Google. This comes off the back, of course, of Trump last week slapping export controls on Anthropic, one of the leading tech companies when it comes to AI. This has essentially proved a fear true for Europeans, that the United States can flick a switch, turn off these capabilities that they desperately desire. But EU officials that have spoken to Euronews have confirmed that they expect this matter to be raised today, as well as a further cooperation potentially between Brussels and Washington when it comes to developing and hopefully sharing this technology, Maeve.
And changing tack, Angela, there were also some lighter moments at the G7, from gifts to hot mics catching the politicians unaware. Tell us more.
Yeah, so it started early yesterday morning with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz gifting Trump a football jersey to celebrate the 80th birthday that just passed, as well as the kickoff of the FIFA World Cup. Merz then posted on social media platform X, "Happy belated 80th birthday, POTUS. After all, we're on the same team." Of course, this comes off the back of Merz previously criticising Trump for the ongoing war in Iran, stating that the ceasefire talks are humiliating Washington. Hopefully here this will paper over some of those divisions that have emerged. Of course, Trump announcing the withdrawal of US troops from Germany. But those hot mic moments that you referenced, this G7 seems to be plagued with politicians being caught unawares that their comments are being broadcast. This hit a high point yesterday with the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, known for toting her tailored cigarettes, announcing to her political contemporaries that she has been smoke-free for 1 month. Let's take a listen.
Add a cigarette. No. No. Sure. When? No. Last night.
Good. Giorgia Meloni speaking there to her political contemporaries at the G7 summit on Tuesday. But the action is not over yet. We're expecting one more full day of crunch time talks. Maeve?
Okay, Angela Scugins, thank you so much for your reporting, and also to our EU News team who will be live blogging on all the outcomes on that G7. So throughout the day, do consult euronews.com. But now it is time for our FIFA World Cup segment. And while global leaders are, of course, very busy in Evian, a lot of the world's attention has been occupied by the World Cup. And in many ways, on the controversial FIFA president, who's forged very close ties with the US president. Our Jakob Giannis tells us more about the FIFA boss, Gianni Infantino.
A massive revolt is brewing for football's most powerful man. As the 2026 World Cup gets underway, FIFA President Gianni Infantino faces an unprecedented ethics backlash over his open alignment with the White House and vital hydration breaks being turned into TV advertisement slots. And for many it will be already a career game changer, but not for Infantino.
Maybe sometimes it's good as well to just, chill, relax.
Alright, Gianni, but football fans are wondering, who are you? Born in 1970 to modest Italian immigrants in the quiet Swiss town of Bring, Infantino grew up far from luxury. His mother ran a railway station newsstand, while his father worked on sleeping cars. A multilingual lawyer by training, he quietly climbed the ranks at the UEFA to become the trusted right-hand man to the French football legend, Michel Platini. And his big break came during the infamous 2015 FIFA-gate corruption scandal, when the FBI arrested top officials and sidelined Platini. Infantino launched a backroom campaign to seize the presidency. He later described Infantino as an ambitious bureaucrat who ruthlessly plotted to take his boss's crown. After that, Infantino concentrated all decision-making power and remade FIFA into a money-making machine. And expanding the tournaments from 32 to 48 teams has pushed FIFA's full-year revenue to a record $13 billion. Today, opinions on his legacy are deeply split. Some see him as the master manager who successfully rebuilt FIFA from its 2015 ashes. Others view him as the ultimate symbol of corporate greed. And on his social media accounts, his posts often end with the hashtag "Football unites the world." But as this tournament shows, there is always another thing that unites, and it is money. And as ethical investigations mount, football's ultimate businessman might find his luck is finally running out.
Jakob Giannis reporting for us there. And now we can take a look at the latest in the tournament. And to do so, I'm joined here in the studio by Euronews' Vincenzo Genovese. So bring us up to speed. What is the latest?
Good morning, Maeve. France and Argentina won their opening game, and it was another great show by Lionel Messi, His Majesty, with a hat-trick to Algeria, 20 years after his first goal in a World Cup. You know, Maeve, now Messi is the top scorer in the history of the World Cup with 16 goals, the same as German former striker Miroslav Klose. But the other side of the coin in this game is the sufferance from the stands of Zinedine Zidane. Former world champions with France, the legend of the football, suffers because his son Luka Zidane is the goalkeeper of Algeria, and he wasn't perfect in the game yesterday, especially in the second goal. So this is football, joy and pain in the same game.
Of course, this is football. And we saw Austria's very first game this morning against Jordan has just finished with 3-1 outcome. And among those who got up very early this morning to watch it was Lucas Mandl, a member of the European Parliament, who's also a big football aficionado. And he joins us now from Strasbourg. Good morning, Mr. Mandl. Great to have you with us. How was the game in your view? How did the Austrians play?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's an exciting morning from an Austrian perspective. It's the best start of the day you can have with this 3-1 win in a tough game in the beginning, in a thrilling game throughout the whole 90 plus 10 minutes. But what counts in the end is the result, and the result is very promising for the rest of the World Cup.
Good morning, Lucas. Good morning. Austria is back to the World Cup after 28 years. Do you have high expectations?
I have high expectations with this very Austrian team. They have showed in this very first game after a tough beginning what they are capable to do. Of course, as an Austrian, I support Austria, but generally this World Cup has started in a very exciting way, and it's worth watching.
what are the most favorite ones among the other European countries, in your opinion?
Well, if we observe the performance of European teams, it's a big variety of different results and different achievements so far, but we are in the beginning of the group phase, so there's not much to tell yet. Of course, European teams are in the forefront of what we as Europeans should observe, but this is a game and it's about sports, and this is why fairness and true competition counts, and that's why may the best teams win in all the games.
Okay, and in this World Cup we also see many players who are born and raised in Europe, especially in France, who have chosen to play for their country of origin or the country of origin of their ancestors even. Why, in your opinion?
I think this is part of today's world, that even more and more people than ever before have more than one national identity due to their ancestors, due to their personal life story and so on. So it's absolutely fair enough that a player with, for example, Algerian roots like Luka Zidane, the son of Zinedine Zidane, would play for Algeria while his father played for France. I, for example, I'm in politics, not in football, but my mother is Dutch originally. My father is Austrian, and generally, if I compare it with the European level, for European Parliament, somebody can run no matter in what country, as long as this person would be a European citizen.
Okay. Lucas Mandl, Austrian member of the European Parliament, taking a break from politics to talk football with us here on Europe Today. Thank you so much for joining us. And what about France, Vincenzo? We can't not talk about France. It was a pretty good start for them, right?
Yes, it was a brilliant start, a brilliant second half, especially after first half dominated by Senegal. But at the end, France won 3-1. Mbappé scored twice. And French supporters should be very happy because it wasn't easy. And especially the ones in the village of Ayat, because they also got pizza for free. Defender Maxence Lacroix decided to offer pizza to all the people of his hometown who gathered to watch France World Cup games. So really a beau geste, a kind gesture from Lacroix, even though pizza is not exactly a French food.
No, it's not. But isn't that a lovely way to bring the community together? That's one good thing, of course, that football can do. So what should we look out for next, Vincenzo?
Well, today England against Croatia and Portugal against Congo are the most relevant matches. Let's see what Cristiano Ronaldo does after Messi, after Mbappé. Cristiano Ronaldo is 43 years old. He has often struggled in the World Cup, and so this is really the last chance for him to win.
And who are the other big stars we should look out for this match? Just briefly. The big stars?
The big stars, of course, we say Cristiano Ronaldo. I also will take a look to Vitinha, which to me is the best midfielder in the World Cup, and he is the soul of the Portuguese team. A
gripping tournament. Vincenzo Genovese, thank you so much for that update. And that brings this edition of Europe Today to an end. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you have any points for us, reach out at europetoday@euronews.com, and take care and see you soon on Euronews.